Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Energy Up podcast. I'm so thrilled that you're with me today. Thank you for joining. I'm Jaiya Victoria, the Energy Queen. And this week's episode is going to be a solo episode from me. By the way, there will be new episodes out every Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. This week, I'm going to be talking about toxic masculinity. So, what is toxic masculinity? I'm sure you've heard that phrase. And we're going to be diving into the truth about that concept and how you can protect yourself when you find that you're being exposed to a toxic masculine energy. You may hear one of my kitties in the background, but it's all good. So, here she goes. Okay, we're going to start with what is toxic masculinity. So, when you think of toxic masculinity, I mean, the word toxic right away, it sounds poisonous, right? It sounds like it's not good for you. And it's something that is bad for you, like infiltrating your system. It literally is like talking about a poison energy. That's the idea behind that phrase, right? Toxic masculinity. It's also sort of like brings to mind like something that has spoiled or gone bad. Like if you think about like, I don't know, like have you ever like checked some cheese in your fridge and there's mold on it? It's like so gross. I feel like that's what toxic masculinity, that idea, that term brings to mind. It's like taking something good, but it's like a bad or unhealthy or even poisonous, potentially fatal even. I don't know if toxic masculinity, well, yeah, toxic masculinity, yeah, okay. Could be fatal. I mean, let's be honest. So that's what that brings to mind, right? Toxic masculinity. And I would say that, well, I'm going to tell you what is really going on, and then we'll talk about, is that actually the case? Is this actually like a poisonous energy that you can be around? Okay. So, what toxic masculinity is when somebody who identifies as a man, so primarily masculine energy, when they themselves are disconnected from their own feminine energy. So that's really what toxic, what we call toxic masculinity is, because everybody is made up of both kinds of energy. We're all a unique version of that combination of feminine and masculine. That's why we have women who maybe are super feminine and that's their homeostasis, that's their normal, that's where they feel really good. But you could take another woman and try to make her look like a Barbie and she would be really uncomfortable. So we all have a different like combination of masculine and feminine, the way that they are balanced in us. And that's beautiful. You know, we're all different. We all express ourselves differently. I think that the whole rainbow of, um, genders and identities and orientations, like I believe from looking at the energy world that that's one of God's creations. And I know a lot of people might not agree, but like I just look at the energy world and I sense what, you know, is the truth from there. That's where I get all my info. And from the way God's energy truly feels, I feel like he's educating us on so many things through the movements that are happening through us and the way that we're speaking up, the way that we're identifying, the way that we're changing. And I honestly think like the way that you can always decipher what's God and what's not God is it love? And I find like within the, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but I'll swear I'll come back. So I'm just going with it. So like within the pride movement and within, the way people stand up for each other and support each other, like that's love. You know what I mean? Or even someone just speaking up for themselves and having the courage to do that. Like that's love. And so if we use religion or God to say you're bad, then, well, that's fear. You know what I mean? So the way you always know what God really is, no matter what anybody says, I know everybody uses the Bible in negative ways, but the truth is God is love. God is not negative energy, not fear. So if you ever decipher fear or judgment, or, you know, within judgment, you can feel fear, like that's not God. It's just not. That's not God's opinion. That's not what God's like. That's not what God does or what he wants or he says. You know, God's judgment is a different kind of love, actually. You know, it's just like there's love within even the bringing justice. So if it's fear and hate, it's not love. And so within all these different identities and movements, I've always found like there's a lot of love. And so I feel like God's illuminating us about how masculine and feminine are so interesting, really, and so open, and so we're all so unique, and we all are a different combination. And so I feel like when it comes to toxic masculinity, that's usually the stance that somebody takes, not all the time, but a lot of the time, to attack people who maybe are more in touch with their feminine, like a man, for example, who's more in touch with his feminine, which maybe is a gay man. You know, you see the yes queen slay, like feminine energy is like all throughout gay culture, which is incredible. I just saw a really funny joke by a comedian I love, Dylan Adler. I know him from New York, and he said in his stand-up routine, I just saw a joke on Instagram. It was really funny. He was like, I'm gay and I have an identical gay twin brother. My mom's uterus was a Dua Lipa concert. That's so funny. But like, yeah, Dua Lipa, highly feminine. Gay men love her. Why is that? So we all have these different ways that we feel at home within the balance of masculine and feminine, is what I'm saying. Okay. So basically, and I'm not here to talk about whatever, like, I feel like people could say different things, but this is from the energy world. This is how I get all my info. And so energetically speaking, that feels like it's true. We're all a different version of that balance. And that's a beautiful thing. You just have to find where you are at. And so a lot of the judgment that comes, especially at men who really identify with their feminine side, is from men, have you ever noticed, who are embodying the toxic masculine idea, meaning that they see a man who's in touch with his feminine and are highly triggered by that. Big clue. So what the toxic masculine actually is a man who is disconnected from the natural balance that he needs to have with his own feminine energy. Okay. If you reject your feminine energy entirely as a man, that's going to create what we call the toxic masculine. And this is a very wounded place to be, you can imagine, because feminine energy, well, that's your spirit. That's pleasure. The 4 ingredients of feminine energy are presence, pleasure, self-value, and your purpose from your spirit. So it's all of those things we all need as human beings. Even if you're the manliest man, even The Rock, I feel like he has a good balance. He's not toxic, but, well, I don't know him personally, but I think so. Presence, being able to be present, being able to have things you enjoy in your life, being able to value yourself, and living out your purpose. If you're doing those 4 things as a man, you are going to be so much less likely to be a toxic masculine. And that's what the people who are being a toxic masculine don't have. Makes sense? So it's not that they're a bad person and we need to throw them all off the planet. Not that we can even do that, but want to go to Mars? I don't know. What's going on with Mars? Anyway, no, but we don't need to get rid of these men. It's just that they are missing their own feminine. So it becomes a little bit sad when you think about it, right? I can't imagine a really toxic man having those four things be strong: living out his purpose, being really connected to his own spirit, not just church or what the Bible says, but his spirit, and that's what I'm talking about, that direct connection with God. And by the way, God's in 2024, we have the Bible, but like God's modern, God's here right now with us, we're evolving so much. There's so much change. So like, we can have respect and balance with the past and the present and the future. But like, yes, we have the past. We also have the present. We also have the future, right? So if a man was really in touch with his own spirit, through being present and meditating and praying and cultivating his inner life in a spiritual world, and if he really took the time in his life to enjoy his family and to enjoy his life and the things he loves and to pursue those things and create meaning, and he had a real sense of himself and a good sense of himself, and he valued who that is, had a lot of respect for himself. And I think I already said the purpose one. And he was actively pursuing what he's on this planet to do. That man that I just painted that picture of is not going to be a toxic masculine man, because he's connected to those four things, which are the four ingredients that create feminine energy in any person. So if you're listening to this and you're a man and you're worried, am I toxic masculine? Or maybe you've had a woman say that to you. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. Maybe she was just mad, That's how you avoid that. Those four things. If you really get honest with yourself and look at those four areas, again, it's your presence, it's your purpose, it's your self-value, and it's pleasure. If you have built and developed, and if you are developing those four areas in your life, you're not going to be able to be a toxic masculine man. Because again, the toxic masculine is just a man who's disconnected from that, from his feminine. Okay, so again, let's get back to anybody who perhaps is disconnected from their feminine, who's a man. Okay, we could call them just the toxic masculine men. Okay, well, we don't need to kick them off the planet, because again, it's not like, you never want to throw anybody out, which I think can be a really confusing concept, especially, I'm just going to be honest, like, I don't get super political, but like, I mean, as a comedian, I keep up with politics to make jokes about it. So I'm reading the news, I read the New York Times every day. Highly recommend. I like the New York Times, I'm going to say. Yeah, there's a lot of things about Trump that are energetically very interesting, and I'll have to do another thing about that. But in terms of him, I think it's really interesting. Like, we feel like there might be danger to us. So like, there's this feeling of almost like, let's get rid of him. But like, even with the person that I think personally I would feel the most like that about, of anybody, I know that from watching the energy world, it's not him and it's not anybody that's ever the problem. The problem is negative energy. And so negative energy is clearable. So who we're looking at with Trump, for example, and a lot of negative qualities that you could point out, a lot of fear, a lot of hatred, a lot of lying and denial, a lot of negative things. Those negative things that we see, that's not the real Trump. That's not the real Donald J. Trump. Okay. That's negative energy inside of him currently. The negative energy can leave at any time. Negative energy, that's like the story of Scrooge. He was transformed and a lot of negative energy left him. I'll have to get into the dynamics of how that works another time. That's what my work is all about. But basically, we can change, is what I'm saying. And even the most toxic masculine man, the reason why, by the way, his masculine and his feminine are not connected is the one thing that gets in the way of everything: negative energy. So naturally, like I told you guys at the beginning, we are our own unique combination of feminine and masculine. You're going to be somewhere on that spectrum in the middle of those two. It's going to be, you're a unique expression. You're going to be at home in a specific like expression of that balance, because we all have both. Like I'm a pretty feminine woman and I actually feel like more balanced when I'm more feminine. So that means that my balance is like I have a lot of feminine energy. But not every woman feels, like I said, like that's her balance. So when it comes to, somebody being disconnected from their natural balance between these energies, the only thing that throws you off is negative energy. When negative energy gets in your energy system, it interrupts the balance. And so these men who we call toxic, I would say, I don't know if toxic masculine exists like as a pure energy in the energy world. The idea of toxicity within the masculine realm is just the fact that the masculine is disconnected from the feminine. The toxicity is the negative energy, right? Because that's what gets in the way. And this is what I think we need to change about the idea of toxic masculine, is the idea that there is a toxic masculine out there. That's not the case. Masculine energy is very positive, just like feminine energy. Both are so positive in their own ways. These are equals we're talking about. So these are positive energies that need to connect to create a balance. What gets in the way and like wedges up, or what's the word? It like, it's just like something gets inside the machine to lodge it or like break the system, not break the system, but like it like puts a wedge in it. That's negative energy. And so your whole energy system is a beautifully fine-tuned instrument that naturally balances your feminine and your masculine. Anybody who you would identify as toxic masculine is disconnected from his feminine, meaning there's something in the way. And what that is specifically is negative energy. So the toxicity we talk about when we talk about toxic masculine, it's not even about necessarily masculine energy at all. It happens to be a man, right, who's disconnected from his feminine. That's what we call the toxic masculine. But the toxicity isn't about the masculine. That's not a toxic concept. It's the negative energy that's toxic, always. And again, negative energy can clear, it can change. I clear it in my work. I have a method that dissolves it. So I'm so passionate about educating people that no matter how toxic you are, how long you've had negative beliefs, negative energies, negative stuff going on in your life, anything at all. I had a chronic illness at one point. Like the thing causing all of that toxicity is negative energy, which can clear. And I created a method that dissolves it energetically, which I call energy queen alchemy. And if you combine a positive energy with a negative energy in the energy world, they cannot exist in the same space. So negative energy is dissolvable. So you're looking at someone that you would call toxic masculine. The problem is negative energy, which is dissolvable. That's one way to get rid of it. Is that man a toxic masculine? It's kind of like a math problem. No, he's just disconnected. And the problem isn't him, it's negative energy. So what I feel like happens with the whole idea of toxic masculine is it's sort of not fair to masculine in general, you know? It's not masculine energy that's toxic, it's negative energy, which, by the way, can be in anybody, can be in a woman, or if you're non-binary, anybody, or a gay man, anybody, anyone. So toxic masculine as an idea, I feel like we need to kind of like break that down and let that go. It's negative energy that we're against. It's not even Trump that we're against. Negative energy in Trump that we're against, right? Which again, that negative energy can come out. It can be dissolved. It's not his identity. Because as souls, we are positive energy only. So I think this is a really important concept. And so I was going to talk about too, can women have toxic masculine energy? If all of us have feminine and masculine energy, could women potentially have what we call toxic masculine energy? I think that in this case, yes, we could, is my answer, because what can happen with you as a woman is your masculine side. So we all have both, right? Your masculine side can become what we would call toxic, meaning it's disconnected from your feminine. I've had a toxic masculine. We all have, I bet, as we've been learning through life. And if you have a toxic masculine, again, now you know that it's not really about the masculine, it's negative energy blocking the connection. But what that will look like is it will feel like the same thing that you imagine like a toxic masculine man doing. It's like belittling the feminine. It's almost like making fun of or hurting the feminine. It's making the feminine feel worthless and hurting her in some way. That's not what your masculine energy is really like. That's negative energy. Okay. So I think even the whole idea of toxic masculine, again, I think I already said this, but like, it's not the masculine, it's negative energy. So like the way I see this kind of like manifesting for a lot of women is that you start to believe the illusion that your masculine energy is more important. And what ends up happening is you start bullying your own feminine, you know, through lots of ways, like overworking yourself. So the feminine is your spirit, the masculine is taking action and doing things. And that is meant to support you. Like the things you do in your life are supposed to support your spirit, support your energy, support your happiness. But if you're using your ability to act in a way that takes away from your happiness, that makes you feel worthless, that almost communicates to yourself that you're only valuable if you have this result or that result, what's going to happen is you're almost coming into a space of like toxic masculinity, which is weird for you to think about probably as a woman, to be like, well, I don't have a toxic masculine. I'm not toxic masculine. But like, if you're overworking yourself, well, that's the same idea. You're using the idea of masculine energy to belittle your purpose and your spirit. Like you're telling your feminine basically that she sucks and she doesn't matter. That's the equivalent of like a guy leaving a mean comment on a girl's picture on Instagram. Like we cannot treat ourselves this way, and it doesn't work. Because again, like these two energies are positive and they're meant to work together. So what we always need to look at is negative energy, which again is the only real problem. What was it that got in the way? And negative energies, what they are in the energy world, are actual negative beliefs. So they're chunks of energy that is a specific belief. And these beliefs are going to be specifically negative beliefs about the feminine. Because why else would you disconnect from it? It's going to be a negative belief that lodges into your system about feminine energy. So this is why educating and affirming about positive feminine energy being a positive thing is really important. And that's happening right now. I'm doing it with my work. I just put out a really fantastic quote on my Instagram by a Nobel Peace Prize winner about the power of women. It's like we need to almost rebuild the identity of women to heal both the feminine and the masculine. Because again, it's negative beliefs about feminine energy that will block the masculine from wanting to, like, block you from being able to have them to connect. So if you're finding like you potentially have some toxic masculine energy going on, or you're not able to embrace your feminine, your masculine energy doesn't feel like it's connecting with your feminine, what you need to do is you need to rebuild the concept that you have of feminine energy and look at the beliefs that you have. Because if you have negative beliefs about feminine energy, it's going to cause what we call toxic masculine, like I just said. So really get honest with yourself. And I've had to do this. I had lots of negative beliefs about feminine. I had no idea how I was scared of it. I like didn't understand it. Like I was kind of mad at it. Like it's fascinating how we, just living in the world we do, or the families we do, or, the experiences we have, like we just tend to really put down the feminine and almost bully it and tell it it's not important. And I think one of the lures of why that happens is because we're so addicted to the idea of outward success, because we think that outward success will get us as a spirit what we actually want, which is love. So I want to tell you that if you're pursuing outward success as a remedy for everything right now, and maybe you're bullying your feminine, your spirit, your purpose, your sense of pleasure, all the things you can't see, if you're sacrificing all of that, especially as a woman, in the name of the outward success, the masculine, the physical, you're always going to be suffering. You're always going to be struggling, and you're never really ever going to get there, because the result you want isn't the success, it's love. And what is love? You are love. And what is love? What are you? You are your own unique balance of feminine and masculine energy. So the truth is, the way you reach what you're really looking for, which gives you both the inner and the outer success, is to have your feminine and your masculine energy work together. And again, throughout history, feminine energy has been attacked more than masculine energy. That's just a fact, with hanging witches, with a lot of spiritual things being condemned, and even just women not being allowed to have power or vote. Like, we have not been treated as equals. Energetically, we are equals. And again, we all have both of these energies in us in a unique expression. So even talking about feminine, masculine, it's sort of like, it's more like a spectrum, really. Right? So these are equal energies. One is not better than the other. But the imbalance that we have almost been like nourished with, or malnourished with, really, is not enough feminine, not enough respect for the feminine, not enough of us trust our own feminine and allow our energy to balance with it. So it's the negative beliefs that you have about your feminine, or feminine energy in general, that need to get purged or dissolved so that you can come back to your own version of homeostasis. Because again, the feminine is the spirit. This is your purpose. This is your inner light, your inner sense of success. If you're reaching for the outer sense of success and ignoring the inner sense of success, you're going to be imbalanced and you're not going to get what you really want. So this is why having both is really important. And again, what all of us need in general, because we've been literally suckling at the teat of the idea that the masculine matters more, is we need to rebalance with more feminine. It's literally like the scales are like this: masculine here, feminine here, and it's imbalanced. Like, we don't have respect for the feminine. And we need to literally have more respect just so that they're equal. That's what's going on right now, you guys. So that's why you're going to hear a lot more about feminine energy. This is why I do what I do. This is why I work with energy, which is the realm of the spiritual, I mean, the feminine, and also why I am self-trained. I was taught by God. I've had people say to me like, oh, you should go like get your PhD in neuroscience or like quantum physics. And I'm like, this is the whole point. Why do I need it? Why do I need that? I'm good at what I do right now. You know, it's like we need to start respecting the feminine, the spiritual as an authority, you know, as equal. You know, if somebody has a spiritual gift, they shouldn't have to go get a title to be good at that spiritual gift. You're good at it now. You know, that's equal to having a PhD, in my opinion. You know, if you're good enough at what you do, if you're an authority, if you have a gift, we need to have more equality for these things. But a PhD in this world, here's the imbalance. It's more revered, a spiritual gift. I know a lot of very struggling, you know, not financially compensated spiritual people who could actually change your life and help you. And I feel like there's almost a war on feminine energy, to be honest, because it's like the whole idea of the feminine being less than is still out there, you know? And I wanted to say, like, I keep seeing these ads for BetterHelp. It's a therapy service. And it's not that therapy doesn't matter, but this is the imbalance again, you know, because I'm somebody who's been to therapy. And what helped me the most was the work I do now, like dissolving the negative energy, dissolving the negative beliefs. You can go to therapy and try to change your negative beliefs for years, or you can come to me and I'll do it in an hour, you know, but the imbalance is here. This matters more, this matters less. We need to balance this out, you guys, because there are people with skills that can help you. And the more we keep affirming that the masculine is normal, it matters more. It's like exactly like the norm. It's like that's what we understand. We don't understand this energy woo-woo stuff. Even calling it woo-woo, I've never said that because I feel like it's an insult. Like it's not woo-woo, it's real. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like so practical about it. And it's changed my life in practical ways. I help my clients in practical ways. I helped someone like have a better court case result. You know, that was like a really big deal. She had to win this court case against her ex-husband, and I helped her create the result through her energy. Like it's like extremely real. And I don't think a therapist could have done that. You know, if you are not manipulating, but if you are literally, well, in a positive way, manipulating reality to create more results that are good and better for you, and you're eliminating negative energy, which is the cause of the toxicity and the problems, like that's a useful skill. You know what I mean? So as a whole, there's a whole rebalancing happening. And I just want you to know that, like, yeah, like whenever you see the feminine being treated in a way that is not right for an equal balance, then I encourage you to speak up about it. You know, like I am right now. I feel like we have to do this for ourselves as women a lot, and we have to support each other a lot for it, because we just feel like, you know, if you have those negative beliefs about feminine energy, like it's just weak or it sucks or it's silly or it doesn't matter, it's second best. Like those are the things you have to start looking at and questioning, because those aren't the truth. They're negative beliefs, and negative beliefs are negative energies. Those are the things that are getting in your way literally right now. You at your best, you're a balance between the feminine and masculine that is right for you. So I wanted to close off on one more thing. The idea that women are crazy, I think that's one of the things that is part of the whole negative energy war against the feminine, right? Because negative energy doesn't want feminine energy to be respected, because then we all get more balanced, and then it isn't part of our lives, you know? It basically is getting eradicated, which we want. Negative energy is not your friend. It is the problem. It is the toxicity. And the idea that women are crazy is one of the biggest like lies I feel like are out there, because the truth about a woman who does something that maybe makes her look crazy is that that wasn't one thing that happened to her. Again, we're in a whole like like we're living in this like lie. Like I'm imagining like a cell with like, you know, the fluid of the cell, but like there's like intruders in the cell. It's like this soup of energy that we're living in that's so imbalanced. And we're all just kind of used to it. And we're breaking out of it, luckily, right now. But like the idea that women are crazy, like it's just so accepted. And even women think that about themselves now, you know, and question themselves so much. Oh my God, this is really big for a lot of people who I've tried to help and I couldn't, or they didn't say yes to help because it's like they question themselves, which is really sad. A woman doesn't do something that could be qualified as crazy because of one thing that happened. She broke down because of 100, probably million little things that just chipped away at her. And that's what causes the ultimate breakdown. But the thing is, we don't address the little things, even though they don't feel right and they hurt us, because they're so culturally accepted. So it's the little things that I want you to start noticing and questioning. Where is there a lie here that feminine energy is not good or equal? And how can I be a part of correcting that? How can I correct that for myself? How can I literally correct someone who says something? You know, how can I be a part of creating balance and equality? Because that's what's going to create a better world for all of us. It's going to create health for the planet. It's going to create leadership that is actually balanced for us and good for us, and helping us to thrive on all levels, you know, energetically, spiritually, temporally, physically, environmentally. It's all about this balance. So I want you to remember, just to send you off, that it starts with you. You need to find your balance of feminine and masculine. And no matter what anybody else is doing, that's where you can contribute to a better world. And it's going to create a better life for yourself. And so start getting curious about where do you have negative beliefs about the feminine? What are those negative beliefs? And you can even write them down. And one way to get rid of negative beliefs is to write down 10 reasons why that's not true beneath it. Because as you write those reasons, you're going to stop believing that negative belief. And when you don't believe a negative belief, what happens energetically is it rises out of you like this big dark ghost. And once you get rid of them, they can't come back. It rises out, your balance starts to reestablish, your life starts to get better, you start to be healthier, start to be mentally healthier, you have a more positive reality. The most positive version of you is the homeostasis that's right for you between these two energies. So take this advice, use it, run with it. And now I hope that you can recognize even better in your life when you see something that resembles toxic masculinity. Now you're going to know what's actually going on. And you're also going to know how to help yourself through the toxic masculine that might be affecting you inside of you. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped you learn about what we call the toxic masculine. And if you would like to work with me, or if you have any questions for me, make sure you comment. I would love to hear from you. That was the pod for this week. Bye.